and we see a Stunfisk lead here. We got Alolan Marowak into Azumarill, Marowak into 3 bad leads so far. Can we get a good one? No. Another Stunfisk. We can't get hard countered 5 times in a row, can we? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Ox here with another video. If you're new to the channel, we do upload Pokemon Go content mostly related to PvP, so please consider subscribing to the channel if that is of interest to you. And if you're a returning subscriber like Genius Level, thank you for the support. In today's video, we're taking a look at a team that I have used a lot in previous seasons and was also included in my 5 team ideas for Season 7 team comps. This is a team that was used by a player 2416 Rod, consisting of Alolan Marowak lead, Azumarill safe switch running Ice Beam and Play Rough, and Meganium in the back. Now these battles are going to be taking place with the 30-second switch timer. If there's any video where the 30-second switch timer is given merit, it's pretty much this video right here, because you're going to see a lot of bad leads, and we come back from them specifically because of how well this team performs with the 30-second switch timer. Now this team of course does still work very well with the 60-second switch timer. However, I feel it benefits a lot more from the 30 seconds. You're going to see the leads in this video that we came back from. I think I did 5 sets with this team, and I believe I went like 21 and 4 or 20 and 5 in total. I went from the 2700s up past 2900 using this team, and actually made me feel like I should have completed more sets during the 30-second switch timer because it had been performing so well that maybe I could have pushed for legend with it. Either way, this team was good enough to get me onto the leaderboard. Since then, with the 60-second timer returning, I've been struggling a little bit, going like 13, 12, 12, 13 in the days since, but hopefully we can reach legend in the coming days. If not, there's still so much time left in the season. It really doesn't bother me. If you guys enjoy this type of content, please make sure you smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And without any further ado, let's jump into the first battle right now. So in case you guys did skip the intro, this team is in the 30-second switch timer, and we face a lot of negative leads here, starting with this one right here. Alolan Marowak into a Galarian Stunfisk. You hate to see it. We're going to look to swap out into the Azumarill once we build up to the Shadow Ball, hope to catch the move, but the opponent holds off from throwing. Here comes the Tropius. Now it's a good thing we actually draw out this Tropius now because it has a very good match against the Meganium as well, so you don't want to have that lined up in the back. So we throw the Ice Beam here. We're not going to shield anything. What we want to do is get this Tropius into farm down range with Fire Spin, let the Azumarill go down, get a bunch of energy stored on the Marowak, and look to take this game in the end with Meganium. So let's see what happens here. Tropius throwing the Leaf Blade. I come with Marowak. I'm going to look to farm down completely here. We're close to 100 energy. I'm going to throw the Bone Club here blindly. It is a Stunfisk. So the reason I throw blind is because they do have a move ready and I want it to be CMP. I try to swap out into my Meganium, but because it is CMP, I'm locked here. So I have to burn a shield on this Rock Slide. Now I'm going to bring in the Meganium, and it's a Deoxys in the back. So at this point, we definitely could win this game, but what we're going to do is look to exploit the switch timer here. So because it is 30 seconds and I swapped out first, I'm going to look to throw this Frenzy Plant, and after this lands on the Deoxys, I'm going to look to instantly swap out into my Marowak, which has a Shadow Bone ready, and throw this at the Deoxys, which will either force it to burn the last shield or get KO'd. So the opponent chooses to let the Deoxys go down there, and now Stunfisk comes back in. So I'm going to look to get a move off, but we're not able to. If this is a Rock Slide, we will be able to survive this, which it is. That means we're going to get to the Bone Club here. Bone Club will likely get the final shield from this Stunfisk, at which point we just come back in with the Meganium, throw the Frenzy Plant, and we're going to be able to take this game against a pretty difficult lead, followed by a very hard counter in the secondary matchup. Tropius into Azumarill. You could see this team exploits the 30-second switch timer very well. So let's jump into the next matchup here. And we're leading Alolan Marowak into Altaria. This is one of the worst leads you could see with Alolan Marowak here. So I'm going to go straight for the Shadow Bone here. Definitely have to hope for the defense drop or something, but this is an unwinnable match. But I'm choosing to stay in here because basically I have Meganium in the back, right? And the problem with staying in a bad lead like this is that it tells the opponent that you have something else weak to the Altaria in the back. So you can see the opponent actually looks like they're choosing to farm down completely here, which means they're going to have a lot of energy. And as a result, when I bring in the Azumarill, they're most likely going to swap out, save all that energy in the back for whatever they expect is weak to it, in this case Meganium, which is definitely the right play on the opponent's part. So Lapras comes in, I bring in the Meganium here, and it's running Water Gun, so that's actually really good for me. And this is way too early to be an Ice Beam, so there's no way I'm going to shield this. Let it go through, it's only a Surf. Now because I know it can't get to an Ice Beam, I'm going to actually build up for 2 Frenzy Plants. This one is going to knock out the Lapras, and then I should have the second one ready for the Altaria. Now, because I have the move ready, Altaria is going to be forced to throw, or else I will win. If they don't throw, I'm going to be able to throw the Frenzy Plant. So for that reason, I bring in the Azumarill, knowing they're going to throw the Sky Attack immediately. We catch the move, and here comes Beedrill. So after all those plays that I thought were so great, we get met by an absolute hard counter in the back in Beedrill. Beats both Meganium and Azumarill here, but we do have a shield advantage, so this isn't quite over yet. I'm going to look to swap out into my Meganium, throw this Frenzy Plant, which should get the final shield from the Beedrill, and now I expect them to swap out into the Altaria. I'm going to be able to get off this Frenzy Plant here, and now the game comes down to Azumarill with 2 shields basically. I know that Beedrill has a move ready. What I want to do here is let this Meganium go down, come in with Azumarill, farm this down so that I have a move ready to throw at the Beedrill, at which point we will lose CMP. However, we just have to shield and throw the move. So we have to shield the Sky Attack for sure. Good thing we have 2 shields left. We have the move ready. Beedrill comes in, should be CMP tie. I did click the Ice Beam, so Drill Run comes through. This would knock us out, of course. We shield that. CMP tie on the Ice Beam. This will be enough to knock out the Beedrill. And I believe Altaria is still in the back with like 1 HP. We just bubble that down, and we take that game against a very hard counter city line right there. So next matchup, K-Jelt 96. And we're leading Alolan Marowak into another Stunfisk. This whole set, I'm going to tell you guys right now, all bad leads. So we're going to play out the same way, try to catch the move onto the Azumarill, which this time we actually were able to do, but we caught an Earthquake, so not the greatest thing. But they do swap out into Venusaur, and like I said in the earlier match, you're happy to see this because you keep it away from the Tropius. But look at this, we actually didn't get off the Ice Beam this time. So that means we get knocked out before landing that, which means this Marowak has a lot more work to do. So we're not really threatened by anything the Venusaur is going to throw. It's going to be throwing Frenzy Plants at us. It actually swaps out instead into Azumarill. So I come with Meganium here. A little problematic that the Venusaur is still alive because it is going to be able to beat this Meganium. However, we're in a decent spot here and we just have to keep our shields. So I am not going to shield this move here. I will survive the Ice Beam. It's actually a Play Rough, which is even better. Of course, they swap out into Venusaur. Now I'm going to shield for sure. Our switch timer should be up. I'm going to preserve the energy here, swap out into Marowak, farm this thing down completely, and now let's see if they come in Stunfisk or Azumarill. They do choose to come in with the Azumarill here, so I'm going to throw the Shadow Bone at this, and we're going to get to another move here. So one more Shadow Bone going to come through. They are likely running Play Rough Hydro Pump since they did not hit Meganium with the Ice Beam. So let's see if we get to one more move here. We get to the Bone Club. I was actually going to throw this at the Azumarill, but they swap out to Stunfisk. This is perfectly fine. Super effective damage still. And now swap out into my Meganium. So at this point, I actually think it's more important to save the shield for the Azumarill. So I'm going to throw this Frenzy Plant right here, which does get the final shield from the Stunfisk. I could definitely survive one Rock Slide here. If they get to a second one, I will be forced to shield. So let's see how this plays out. They can't Mud Shot down. They do swap out into Azumarill. I throw this because I was afraid they might have a move ready. Play Rough even is going to KO from that range, obviously. Now I bring in the Marowak. All I have to do is shield up the Rock Slide, and even if they have a second move ready, I should be able to farm down with the Meganium after some residual Fire Spin damage. So we take that game against another hard counter city type line. Lord of Hole in the next matchup. 3 bad leads so far. Can we get a good one? No. Another Galarian Stunfisk lead. So we're going to play out the same way as usual. Build up, try to swap out on the Earthquake, trying to catch the Rock Slide. They leave energy. We draw the Tropius once more. So it's set up for another hard counter city line right here. But we've been able to beat it so far. Let's see if we could do it a 4th time. This Tropius is actually running Razor Leaf this time. So I actually do get to the Ice Beam, but they throw the Leaf Blade. I'm actually going to let this go down because I really don't care to win switch here, to be honest. I just want to come in with Marowak, farm this down, get energy stored on the Marowak. And we're going to get hit by Leaf Blade here. Definitely do not want to shield this. And we're basically at 100 energy at this point. So this is looking really good for us. And they come in with the Stunfisk. I'm going to throw the Bone Club here, and then we're going to look to swap out immediately into the Meganium, hoping they don't have another hard counter. And unfortunately, they do. And this is a pretty rough one in Drifblim. So I'm going to throw the Frenzy Plant here. And the thing is, even though these are resisted, look at how much damage they do. That's quite a lot here. And I wanted to make sure I got off that damage before the Icy Wind debuff. So at this point, Icy Wind's going to be doing more damage than anything Stunfisk could throw at me. So I'm going to shield it up, switch into Marowak, and here is either a Bonehead play or a 5-head play. I throw the Bone Club bait because I was 100% convinced they were going to shield. And I thought I could survive this Rock Slide and get to another move, but I'm not able to. So because I'm not able to get to the other move, I should have just went straight for Shadow Bone. Huge risk there, but I was 100% convinced they were going to shield. So let's call it a 5-head play. And the Rock Slide comes through here. This is still a tricky spot here because Meganium has such a poor matchup. I can't shield anything. I need the shield for the Icy Wind, and I need a lot of energy here. So I'm going to overfarm as much as I can, throw the Frenzy Plant here at this Stunfisk, and the opponent actually lets that go through, which I think is a big break for me, because now I have the shield still for the Icy Wind, didn't have to shield up an extra Rock Slide. Going to throw the Frenzy Plant right here at this Drifblim, get off the second one, both of them before the Icy Wind debuff, which is huge. Now I just have to shield the Icy Wind and hope that I'm able to farm down Vine Whip before they get to the next charge move. Can we pull off another win against Hard Counter City right here? Yes, we can. Unbelievable. 4-0 at this point, and I was thinking there's no way we run into one more hard counter for this set. We can't get hard countered 5 times in a row, can we? Master Red, 1-2-3-A, Marowak into Swampert. 5 bad leads in a row. Here comes the Venusaur again, and once more, you love to see it come out now because you don't want it on the Meganium endgame, right? So we throw the Ice Beam here, and we're going to get hit by the Frenzy Plant, of course. Good thing though is that it is going to be in farm down range for the Marowak, so I'm going to look to do that. Coming with Marowak after Azumarill comes down and build up some energy. So this is actually more important to build up energy because we swapped out immediately for Swampert, so we have no residual energy left on this Marowak. Looking to farm down here completely, which we are able to do, and I'm going to look to swap out into my Meganium, trying to catch a Hydro Cannon here. Didn't time it well enough, and because they built up extra energy, could be a Sludge Wave. Don't want to take any risks here to win because Meganium is pretty much the win condition at this point, so I do shield that up, and it's an Umbreon in the back. So Umbreon versus Meganium is a decent matchup for us. We are down shields, which isn't good. However, we have a big energy lead, which could make up for the shield that we're down. So I'm going to throw another Frenzy Plant here. You can see these are chunking away at this Umbreon, and we get the first shield. Now at this point, we really don't have to shield any foul plays at this point. We need to keep the Meganium alive, of course, for the Swampert, and we do get to one more Frenzy Plant here. So let's see if the opponent's going to shield this one up. They do shield, so now they're down shields, and I still don't have to shield the foul play. We're not in the range yet where it threatens us, so I'm going to keep farming up energy. This Umbreon isn't exactly in Bone Club or Shadow Bone range yet, so I do have to shield here. And I'm going to build up for this Frenzy Plant, look to knock out this Umbreon. However, they swap out into Swampert instead, which I'm totally fine with because this is going to knock out the Swampert. It was not in Shadow Bone range, so better to throw that at the Swampert than at the Umbreon. I throw the Shadow Bone here at the Umbreon. This should be CMP tie if it does not KO, which it is, which means even though this foul play is going to knock us out, there'll be dry on energy, so one Vine Whip will be enough to win this game. And we managed to go a perfect 5-0 in this set against 5 very bad leads and 5 hard counter city teams. So jump up to 28-60. So jumping into the second set here, going up against DijonTheDjinn. And we are leading Marowak into Cradily here. So Cradily, definitely a Pokemon that we've seen on this channel in the past. Had a lot of fun with it. Definitely a sleeper pick and a very strong Pokemon for the meta, to be honest. So I'm going to throw the Shadow Bone here. Thing with Cradily is that it actually could beat Marowak if it lands like Stone Edge. So it's a bit of a risky play here. Of course, I do know that Cradily runs Stone Edge because it's a Pokemon that we've featured on the channel in the past. So I do shield that up. If we get baited, it's pretty brutal. Actually go for the Bone Club here, sort of expecting the shield, but they choose to let it go through. Or no, they do shield. Okay, sort of like a glitch there. It looked like they didn't shield, but they did. So now I'm forced to burn a second shield here on the Stone Edge. We call that correctly. And now I'm going to throw the Bone Club here, which I'm hoping is enough to KO. And it's not, but we get in one more Fire Spin, but they swap out into Jellicent. So at this point, instead of swapping out immediately into the Meganium, what I was hoping to do was to get a shield here with the Shadow Bone, and then I swap out into Azumarill instead. And you might be asking, why am I swapping out into Azumarill, not Meganium? If this Jellicent had Ice Beam, for example, it had such a big energy lead that I didn't want to risk bringing in the Meganium there. So I felt it was just safer to come in with the Azumarill. And they tried to sack the Cradily. Fortunately for us, we did not throw. So Shadow Ball comes through. I try to swap out into Meganium now, knowing that it is Giant Energy, but we got off this play rough instead. Now I'm going to swap out into Meganium. It should be switch locked here, and I should be able to outpace it to the Frenzy Plant. Shields down. This is going to be overkill on the Jellicent, and we're going to see what their final Pokemon is in the back, and it's a Toxicroak. So not great for us, and I'm just going to go for the Frenzy Plant here because there's no way I'm going to outpace it to the Earthquake. Frenzy Plant still does a lot of damage, and I'm going to build up to right before the Frenzy Plant, then swap out into the Azumarill, expecting this to be the time where they throw the Sludge Bomb. We didn't really need to sack here to win, I think, but definitely helps because now we're going to be able to get to this Frenzy Plant. We still have the Marowak in the back as well, and we're able to take this game against what is probably the best lead we've seen so far, but still a pretty difficult one in general. So Takahiro 7-1-10 or 1-7-10 in the next match. We got Alolan Marowak into Azumarill, another horrible lead, and we are running Shadow Bone here. So I'm gonna look to stay in here and then try to catch on the Hydro Pump, but they did not throw, so very well played by the opponent. Pelipper comes in, so this isn't the worst thing you like to see as an Azumarill safe switch. So I do throw the Ice Beam here to let that go through. Play Rough does slightly more damage, a bit more energy efficient, but Ice Beam still gets the job done for the most part. Definitely don't want to hit by Hurricane here. It's a huge call. We are able to call that. That's going to flip this match, I believe. So we are going to land one more Ice Beam right here. And that does get the shield. Now I swap out into Marowak, looking to throw the Shadow Bone. I thought I did an excellent play here, but look at the opponent. They actually swapped out to Azumarill. So amazing play there, but we get the defense drop. Now I'm not going to shield here. I don't think this could be a Hydro Pump. Or did they throw? I don't remember if they threw or not. But I didn't shield either way, so I was okay letting it go down, knowing I do have a game in the back anyways. I throw another Shadow Bone, and we get the double defense drop. Basically, when we don't really need it, because Meganium, I'd rather get more farm in it. So this actually benefits the opponent more than it benefits me, to be honest, because I'm going to get less farm here. And we're going to go for Vine Whips here, so we're only able to get 2 or 3. Probably could have got 5, to be honest, if not for the defense drops. But it's okay, and we see a Medicham come in. So Medicham is a pretty neutral matchup here for Meganium. Of course, it does depend whether or not they're running Ice Punch here. So I do throw that Frenzy Plant, and at this point, I know I could survive an Ice Punch, so I wasn't going to shield, but I do swap out into my Azumarill. And even if this is a Hurricane, we will survive it, so I'm not going to shield this up. It is in fact a Hurricane, and I'm going to look to throw the Ice Beam. I think in this range, Ice Beam is enough to KO the Pelipper. So Ice Beam does KO the Pelipper. Medicham comes back in. I swap out into my Meganium. And because Ice Punch doesn't KO, I'm not going to shield the first one, knowing I will survive. Because if they were to say Power Up Punch bait first, then throw the Ice Punch after, that might threaten me. So I decided to not shield the first one, shield the second one, build up for 2 Frenzy Plants here, and I'm looking to throw back to back. If this Medicham is not out of move yet, we're going to be able to win this game, and fortunately for us, it is not at the move, so Frenzy Plant's going to come through, and we're going to take that game against another very difficult lead, Azumarill into Alolan Marowak, in large part thanks to the 30-second timer. 0C Kook C0. I battled this player maybe 10 times in the past 8 days, a lot of battles, and we see a Stunfisk lead here. So we get a little bit of lag at the start, which is a bit unfortunate because this might throw off my timing here. So I do come from the Azumarill, and the opponent's actually looking to stay in, it looks like. So this is most likely going to be an Earthquake. I choose to no shield it. It is in fact an Earthquake, and they actually choose to stay in. So notice I'm not running Hydro Pump here. So what you want to do in this situation is pretend like you do at least have the Hydro Pump. Earthquake doesn't KO. I build up to 7 bubbles, at which point this could threaten as a Hydro Pump. Throw the Ice Beam here, and the opponent does throw up the shield. So here I'm going to choose to let the Azumarill go down. I think take the shield advantage and come in with the Meganium. It looks like their backline is probably weak to Azumarill, so let's find out what it is they have here. They're staying in with the Galarian Stunfisk, so I'm going to let this Rock Slide go through. And I decided to actually go for a very aggressive farm down here instead of throwing. I threw one too late here, and this is probably going to be CMP tie, which would be really bad for me. It actually wasn't, which is better for me because I can farm down, and I'm at 100 energy, but I had to go a bit over 100, which isn't good. Medicham comes in. I'm going to throw the Frenzy Plant here, and then swap out into my into my Marowak that has the Shadow Bone ready, and I'm praying that this KOs the Medicham. It does not, and we see a Sableye in the back. So I decided to look for Shadow Bone and actually go for the bait here, really hoping they shield this, and unfortunately for us they do not shield, which is a little bit of a blow, but thankfully we do get to another Bone Club, which means that we're going to likely get the shield this time. And now I look to swap onto Meganium. My mistake here was throwing this energy, because that Medicham has 0 energy, didn't throw a single move, and I couldn't get farmed down my counter, so I should not have thrown there. I had 2 shields in case the Sableye threw. I threw the game. The only thing that was thrown there was the game by me. Definitely a winnable game there that we just threw against another pretty tough lead. So probably shouldn't have won that game, but we put ourselves in a position to do it, and I threw it. So it is what it is. We see probably the first, I don't even know if that's a good lead, because Shadow Machamp could still win that in certain situations if it baits, but we do get the opponent to swap out. So I'd say this was a 1 lead for once, and we get Azumarill onto Marowak. Now the thing is, my Azumarill is not running Hydro Pump. Like I said, you want to pretend you at least have it so that they're forced to think about burning a shield. They do not here, but this is still a winnable matchup for Azumarill even without Hydro Pump. And because it's Shadow Ball, they're actually going to get to moves a lot later. I decided to let the second one go through, which means they could potentially take switch advantage here if they like. So let's see if that's what they choose to do. They actually let it go through, and they swap out into Machamp. Now they switch lock themselves, so I bring back in the Marowak here. I'm going to go for Bone Club because Fire Spin is doing a lot of damage. Rock Slide is going to KO. We cannot risk being hit by this, so I do shield it up. And I'm going to throw the Bone Club here. Now Bone Club will still add up. Shadow Bone will probably knock it out, but Bone Club still does damage, and they let it go through. So now I kind of wish I did throw the Shadow Bone, but we get to a second one, which is going to force the shield. So it worked out either way. And if they shield here, they're almost guaranteed to be going for 1 more Rock Slide, especially because it's very unlikely they'll get to a second move since Fire Spin is really adding up. So pretty much no brainer here to shield the Rock Slide. They swap out into Zapdos, which is not what I want to see in the back here. So I'm going to throw this Shadow Bone, and thankfully for us, it actually is not a Shadow Zapdos, because if it was, Meganium would be in big trouble. So I tried to sack the Azumarill here, but it was poorly timed. So this should be enough to take out the Marowak here, which is kind of a blow. And now I'm going to come with Meganium. Now, it is going to this with a Drill Peck. If this was a Shadow, I think it might be enough to KO, but it's not. So I know we're going to survive this, but it still does so much. And I try over farm here, knowing that they're going to try and sack, which they do. Marowak comes in, Machamp comes in, not falling for either one of those. Here comes the Zapdos. Frenzy Plant, going to be enough to knock it out. Frenzy Plant is a very broken move, and we take that game. So let's jump into the next battle here. We got Simon 2219, and we're going to be leading Alolan Marowak into a Stunfisk to finish off the day. What better way to finish off these sets than with another hard counter? So we got Alolan Marowak. This time you can see we did lag at the start, so we're behind on energy slightly, which kind of cost me in sacking here because I was lost on the count. Not lost, but I was behind in the count because of the lag. So now we're forced to stay in here. I throw the Shadow Bone, and I'm going to try to sack it again. And once again, we fail. So starting to put myself in a tricky spot here. Rock Slide doesn't KO, which is pretty problematic because the next one might be an Earthquake. So I throw the Bone Club here, hoping they shield. I'm really hoping they do, which they do. I did not want to go down 2 shields here and win switch. So this time we finally get the sack correct. Azumarill comes in, but we catch the Earthquake, of course. So they come into Tropius. I'm hoping I can get to this Ice Beam because that will put it in farm down range. We will survive a Leaf Blade here, so I'm not too worried. And then we should be able to, we're gonna get farmed down by Air Slash, but Marowak has a lot of health left. We should be in a decent spot here. Actually swap out immediately, and I throw this move, hoping they're gonna shield. This is a really dumb play right here. I don't know why I even threw anything. I just let the switch timer come up, Very poorly played by me. It's a Pelipper in the back. This game pretty much looks like it's over. Weather Ball is going to KO. I don't really know how we're going to win this. They have a shield. It's almost impossible to win with Meganium against a shield Pelipper. So let's see what happens. We come in with Meganium here. And I'm going to get to this Frenzy Plant expecting the swap out, so I actually don't throw, and they bring in the Tropius. So I build up for 2 Frenzy Plants, then come for Azumarill. I notice the opponent's not throwing because they don't want me to get extra farm with Meganium. So we simultaneously KO. Meganium comes back in. At this point I have 2 Frenzy Plants. First one's going to get the shield. If their switch timer is up, they're probably going to look to sack unless they don't know how much energy I have, which it looks like they might not have been aware of here. Frenzy Plant is going to kill the Pelipper, or just barely. 1 Vine Whip. Stunfisk comes back in, able to farm down with Vine Whip. We somehow pulled that game out of our hat. Like, it's probably in here somewhere, like how I won that game. But we pulled off that game and we go 4-1. So those were the battles with this Alolan Marowak, Meganium, Azumarill core. Very strong team, and as you can see, I feel this team benefits a lot more from the 30-second switch timer. Azumarill does a really good job of drawing out the grass types, usually Venusaur, Tropius, that do very well against Meganium. Meganium is a very strong closer if you could avoid the flying type, and Marowak, you could see, even though it lost a lot of leads, it did perform very well. So you might be asking, do I prefer 30-second or 60-second? I do like both. I like the idea of 60 seconds being able to lock in an opponent, get energy, use that for the end game. That's a strategy in itself. At the same time, I do like the concept of having a better opportunity to come back from lost leads with the shorter switch times. So perhaps something in the middle, 40-45 seconds might be the best case scenario. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.